I never thought I'd burn down my own life savings, but that's exactly what I did the day I lit the match to my brother's lies. The judge's gavel cracked like a gunshot when they sentenced me to 5 years for a crime I didn't commit, my brother's crime, and I whispered his name like a curse into the empty courtroom. And then, on the night he came to strip my home bare, right down to Grandma's silver forks, I found the note that proved he wasn't just a thief, he was the architect of my ruin. It started in that godforsaken strip mall in suburban Chicago. The kind of place where dreams go to die under fluorescent lights and the hum of idling semis. I was 25, fresh out of community college with associates in accounting that felt like a participation trophy. And my brother, Ethan, was the golden boy everyone envied. 3 years older, with that easy grin and a knack for talking his way out of anything. He was the one who'd convinced Mom to co-sign on his big idea, a crypto trading app called Edge. "It's the future, Zoe," he'd said, slapping me on the back like we were equals. "You're good with numbers. Help me crunch the books." I did. God, did I ever. Mom had passed 2 years prior from the pancreatic cancer that ate her alive while Ethan was off networking in Vegas. Dad bailed when we were kids. Some deadbeat story about chasing the American dream in Reno. So it was just us, Ethan and me, rattling around in the old bungalow on Elm Street that Mom left us. I handled the mortgage payments from my barista gig at the corner Starbucks, dreaming of the day I'd open my own coffee shop. Ethan? He was the visionary. Or so I thought. The app launched with fanfare, a splashy website, influencers shilling it on TikTok, promises of turning pennies into lumbos. I managed the back end, logging transactions, balancing ledgers late into the night while Ethan schmoozed investors at rooftop bars downtown. The money rolled in at first, seed funding from tech bros in Silicon Valley transplants, retail suckers from the Midwest pouring in their 401(k)s. I saw the deposits hit our shared business account, hundreds of thousands. "We're making it, sis," Ethan would say, cracking open a six-pack of Goose Island on the back porch, the Chicago skyline twinkling like it gave a damn. But cracks showed early. Withdrawals that didn't match invoices. Offshore accounts I couldn't trace. I confronted him one rainy April evening. Spreadsheets splayed across the kitchen table like autopsy photos. "Ethan, this doesn't add up. Where's the $50,000 from the March wire?" He leaned back, that grin faltering for a split second before snapping back like elastic. "Zoe, trust the process. It's leverage, short-term loans to pump the volume. You'll see returns next quarter." His eyes, the same muddy brown as mine, held mine steady. I wanted to believe him. He was my brother, the one who'd taught me to ride a bike on these cracked sidewalks, who'd held my hand at Mom's funeral when the preacher droned on about heaven like it was a timeshare. I let it slide. Buried the doubt like a bad habit. That's the first betrayal, I guess, the one you inflict on yourself. By summer, the feds knocked. SEC investigators in cheap suits, badges glinting under the porch light. Fraudulent misrepresentations. Zoe Harlan. Your signatures all over the filings. My stomach dropped like I'd mainlined battery acid. Ethan was MIA. Phone straight to voicemail. His sleek black Audi gone from the driveway. I spent the night in a holding cell, the air thick with bleach and despair, replaying every keystroke I'd made under his direction. Ponzi scheme, they called it. Edge was a house of cards, propping up payouts to early investors with fresh blood from the naive. And me, I was the fall guy. My name on the incorporation papers, my social security tied to the EIN. Ethan had forged the rest subtle, deniable tweaks to make it look like I'd greenlit the lies. The trial was a circus. Prosecutors painted me as the mastermind, ambitious young woman preying on her mother's memory and her neighbor's trust. My public defender, a hairy guy named Lou who smelled like menthols, advised a plea. Take the deal.
Zoe.
5 years federal, eligible for parole in 3. Ethan's vanished. You're the face they know. I stared at the plea form, the ink blurring through tears. 3 years inside for a scam that netted him millions. The judge, a stern woman with silver hair and eyes like chipped flint, didn't blink when she banged the gavel. Guilty on all counts. Prison was hell's waiting room. Danbury Federal Correctional. Upstate New York, women's wing. But no less soul-crushing. Shared bunks that reeked of sweat and regret. Chow lines where fights erupted over an extra scoop of mashed potatoes. I learned to keep my head down, trading cigarettes I didn't smoke for protection from the lifers who eyed the white-collar bitch like fresh meat. Letters from old friends dried up after 6 months. The house on Elm Street went into foreclosure. Sold at auction to some flipper from Naperville. And Ethan? Radio silence. I picture him sipping my ties in Belize. That grin wider than ever. Parole came after 30 months. A miracle greased by good behavior and Lou's pro bono hustle. I stepped out into a gray October drizzle, clutching a paper bag with my released belongings, a Timex watch that had stopped ticking, Mom's rosary beads, and a single photo of us as kids, arms slung around each other at Wrigley Field, Cubs hats crooked. The world had moved on. Chicago felt alien, skyscrapers taller, traffic thicker. My old life a ghost story. I crashed on a cousin's couch in Pilsen, slinging lattes again at a hipster spot where baristas pierced their faces and quoted Bukowski. Rent was a pipe dream. Trust, even more so. That's when the real hook sank in. 6 months post-release. A certified letter arrived, foreclosure notice for Elm Street. But wait. No, it was from the county clerk, forwarding mail from my old address. Inside, a yellowed envelope. Ethan's blocky handwriting scrawled across the front. Zoe, don't open if you can't handle the truth.
Love. E.
My hands shook as I slid it open. A single sheet, typed but signed in his looping script. Coordinates, GPS lat long for a storage unit in Gary, Indiana. Cleanup crew. Your cut's waiting. Burn this after. Your cut. As if I'd been in on it. Rage boiled up. Hot and familiar, but laced with something sharper. Curiosity. What game was he playing now? I drove out that weekend, borrowing my cousin's beat-up Civic. The industrial sprawl of Gary unfolding like a post-apocalyptic diorama, rusted mills, boarded windows, the air heavy with Lake Michigan's metallic tang. The storage unit was a dented garage door in a chain-link maze, padlock rusted but yielding to a bump key I'd borrowed from a sketchy pawn shop. Inside, dust motes dancing in the slash of light, stacks of banker boxes labeled in Sharpe, Apex docs, client lists, offshore transfers. And there, in the corner, a U-Haul dolly loaded with my life. Furniture from Elm Street, the oak dining table scarred from Thanksgiving dinners, the leather recliner Dad abandoned, even the silverware drawer, Grandma's forks, spoons bent from years of family lore. Ethan hadn't just sold the house, he'd looted it, piece by piece. Before the auction, a sticky note on the lamp. For safekeeping,
Sis.
you'll thank me. I sank to the concrete floor, the chill seeping through my jeans. And that's when I found it, the note. Tucked into a hollowed-out Bible, Mom's. Of course. A flash drive wrapped in plastic, and a handwritten addendum. If you're reading this, the feds got you. My bad. But Zoe, you were always the smart one. Use this to flip the script. Targets attached. Make it hurt. The flash drive hummed to life in a library computer an hour later. Files spilling out like confetti from a piñata of deceit. Bank records tracing Ethan's siphoned millions to shell companies in the Caymans. Emails to co-conspirators naming names. Tech bros who'd cashed out early. Politicians who'd looked the other way for campaign donations. And me? Listed as asset. Zoe Harlan, expendable patsy. Redirect inquiries to her asset. Expendable. The word lodged in my throat like glass. But woven through the data, a thread of something darker. Ethan's real play. The scam wasn't just greed. It funded a shadow network. Human trafficking pipelines disguised as talent acquisition for fake overseas jobs, preying on desperate migrants from the border towns. He'd used Apex profits to bankroll coyotes, funneling women and kids through Gary's underbelly into Chicago's sweatshops. And the kicker? One file folder labeled collateral, photos of me. Timestamps from prison visits he'd never made. Doctored to show me coordinating drops. If the feds dug deeper, I'd be the linchpin, not just fraud, but accessory to trafficking. I ejected the drive, heart hammering like a jackrabbit. Ethan wasn't hiding, he was escalating. This gift wasn't redemption, it was a bomb. Time to blow us both sky high if I didn't play his game. Burn the evidence. Or burn him. I chose the latter. That night, back in Pilsen, I printed it all, hundreds of pages, ink bleeding like accusations. Stashed copies in a safety deposit box under a false name, thank you. Dark web tutorials from lockdown boredom. Then I started mapping. Targets. The investors who'd profited. The Pole who greased palms. The coyote kingpin in a little village warehouse. Ethan's perfect scam had legs. But I had the map. Revenge isn't a sprint, it's a slow bleed. I quit the coffee shop. Took a night gig at a dive bar in Wicker Park, tips in cash. Ears to the street. Learned the lingo, mules, stash houses, ghost accounts. Posed as a strung-out ex-con looking for work, flashing just enough desperation to get invites to the wrong parties. First mark, Tommy Voss, the venture capitalist who'd wired $200,000 seed money and walked with 10x on the exit. Lived in a Gold Coast penthouse. Wife a Pilates instructor. Kids at Latin school. I tailed him for weeks. Brunch at the Purple Pig. Spin classes. PTA meetings where he played the doting dad. Controversy brewed in my gut. Was he complicit in the trafficking? Or just a greedy mark? The files said he'd asked no questions about the supply chain, but ignorance is a thin shield. One fog-shrouded morning, I slipped a USB into his Tesla's console during ballet, copy of the Apex ledger. His signature bold on the wire transfer. Attached, an anonymous email chain routed through Tor, promising more if he didn't donate 50% of his payout to a migrant aid NGO. Or else. He paid. Wired it clean.
No cops.
But the thrill? It was poisoned. I watched from a coffee shop across the street as he argued with his wife. Her face crumpling like wet paper. Was I the villain now? Bleeding a family dry? Ethan's voice echoed. Flip the script. Zoe. Yeah. But whose script? Next was Councilman Ruiz. The Pole with the slick ads promising family values while pocketing $50,000 for zoning variances on those ghost warehouses. I crashed a fundraiser at a Lincoln Park yacht club. Waitress uniform pilfered from the venue's lost and found. Slipped a printout into his coat pocket. Photos of the talent he'd enabled. Kids' faces blurred but haunting. His decision? Leak it to the Sun-Times anonymously. Or face IRS audits on his offshore consulting fees. He chose leak. Front page scandal the next week. Alderman tied to crypto scams' dark underbelly. Protests erupted outside City Hall. Signs waving no more blood money. I watched from the crowd. Hood up against the sleet. A twisted pride swelling. But Ruiz fought dirty. Hired PIs to dig on the leaker. My false trail leading to a dead-end alias. One night, a black SUV tailed me home. I lost them in the L tracks. Pulse racing like I'd mainlined Red Bull. Ethan's flips started showing. A burner phone pinged his number.
Somehow.
Nice touch with Ruiz. But you're drawing heat. Pull back. As if he cared. I smashed it under my boot. Shards scattering like trust. By winter's bite, I'd clawed back $300,000. Funneled to lawyers fighting my record expungement and anonymous drops to border nonprofits. The house on Elm, bought back at auction with laundered proceeds. A Shell LLC, my white knight. But the forks, those goddamn forks, sat in a box in the garage. Mocking me. I polished one under the bare bulb, the engraved H for Harlan glinting. Mom's initial. Ethan's too. That's when the coyote hit. Manuel Manny Reyes. The warehouse lord. Broad as a fridge with tattoos snaking up his neck like barbed wire. Files pegged him as the endgame. $1.2 million in Apex blood money for logistics. I infiltrated his crew as a driver. Forged papers claiming ties to a Juarez cartel. Lies. All lies. Pieced from podcasts and prison whispers. Drove vans through the night. Pallets of electronics that stank of fear. Women huddled in back. Eyes hollow as they clutched rosaries. Up close. The ugliness choked me. One girl, maybe 16, Maria from Honduras, whispered her story during a pit stop. Sold by kin. Promised factory work. Delivered to hell. For your brother, Manny grunted once. Counting stacks in a backroom lit by gooseneck lamps. He owes me product.
Product.
My fist clenched around the van keys. The polarizing moment hit during a drop in an abandoned steel mill off the Dan Ryan. Sirens wailing distant. Snow whipping like confetti from a funeral. Manny's crew unloaded the human cargo into waiting semis. Chains rattling. I was supposed to drive decoy. But instead, I keyed the ignition and floored it toward the highway. Maria's pleas echoing. Bullets pinged the tailgate. I swerved into a ditch. Tumbling like a drunk. Airbag exploding in my face. Cops swarmed. Feds. 2. ATF tipped by my anonymous burner call hours earlier. Cords from Ethan's drive. Manny's empire crumbled that night. Raids on 3 warehouses. 20 indictments. Maria testifying from a safe house. I played dumb ex-con. Cuts bandaged. Claiming a panic attack. They bought it, barely. Released with a warning. Stay clean. Harlan.
But Ethan?
He surfaced in the chaos. A postcard from Miami. That grin photoshopped onto a beach bod. You burned the wrong bridge. Sis. Now they know your face. Enclosed, a clipping of my mugshot recirculated in the scandal coverage. Hero or hypocrite? The Trib headline sneered. I was fracturing. Revenge tasted like ash, sweet at first, then choking. The money helped. Coffee shop lease signed. Elm Street repainted eggshell white.
But sleep?
Riddled with dreams of Maria's eyes. Ethan's laugh. Was I saving souls, or just settling scores? The line blurred. Controversy, my constant companion. Spring thawed the ice. But not my resolve. Ethan's final flip loomed. The note's last line. When you're ready, the big fish waits in the Keys. Come alone. Florida heat hit like a wet slap when I crossed the state line. The Civic's AC wheezing its last on I-95. Palmetto bugs splattered the windshield like accusations. Billboards hawked timeshares and Jesus saves. The American underbelly on full display. I'd liquidated the reclaimed assets. $150K wired to a Cayman drop under Ethan's own shell game.
Poetic. That.
Packed light. The flash drive cloned a dozen times. A Glock 19 registered to a ghost. Barter from a Pilsen fence. No questions. And Mom's rosary looped around my wrist like a talisman. The Keys unfolded in turquoise lazy loops. Key Largo's dive shops. Isla Morada's tarpon charters. Marathon's conch shacks where locals nursed coronas and griped about hurricanes. Ethan picked Marathon for the meet. A slip of land where the Gulf met the Atlantic. Escape routes in every direction. His text, new burner, pinned a dockside bar called the Rusty Anchor, Sunset. Wear the red dress from Mom's funeral. I almost bailed. The red dress, taffeta stiff with memory, hung in the closet like a shroud. But curiosity, that old bitch, won. I slipped it on. The fabric whispering against skin scarred from prison tats. I'd inked myself, a barbed wire heart. Family first in faded script. Drove south. Radio blasting Springsteen, Born to Run, ironic as hell. Windows down to taste salt and regret. The Anchor was a tiki hut fever dream, thatched roof sagging under fronds, neon signs buzzing, yangling on tap, a jukebox crooning Jimmy Buffett to a crowd of sunburned retirees and shrimpers with calloused hands. Ethan held court at the end of the warped dock, feet dangling over water black as ink, a pina colada sweating in his grip. Tan as a lifeguard, hair bleached beach blonde. He looked every inch the fugitive kingpin. Spotted me, that grin cracking wide.
Zoe. God.
You clean up nice.
Sit.
Drink. I perched on the piling, heels scraping barnacles. The Glocks weighed a secret in my garter. Cut the shit.
Ethan.
Why the dress? Why now? He swirled his glass, umbrella twirling like a baton. Nostalgia. Mom would have wanted us reconciled.
And hey.
You look killer. His eyes flicked over me, not brotherly. Not quite. A chill prickled despite the humidity. Heard about Manny. Balls a move. Torching his op. Feds singing your praises off record. Vigilante justice, they call it. But sis, you're in deep now. Trafficking ties? That's RICO territory. Your ties, I hissed, voice low as the waves lapping pilings. You framed me, Ethan. Emptied the house like a vulture. Those forks, Grandma's forks, were the last piece of her I had. He winced. Theatrical.
Ouch.
Yeah, about that. Needed collateral for a bond jump. Thought you'd stay locked up longer. My bad. My bad. Like spilling coffee. He leaned in, breath coconut rum sweet. But look, you're free. House back. Rolling in restitution. I gave you the tools.
Zoe.
Unraveled the scam like a pro. Rage surged. But I reined it, fishing the drive from my clutch. It's a suicide pact. You think I won't flip it on you? His laugh barked out, startling a pelican into flight. Flip what? It's all deniable. Proxies. Burners. Your prints all over the cleanup. You're the hero who took down the traffickers. Remember? But dig too deep. And poof, accessory after the fact. We sink together. The polarizing dawn broke then. Sunset bleeding red across the horizon like a wound. Ethan wasn't just cunning, he was chameleonic, flipping from remorse to menace in a heartbeat. Join me, he pressed. Hand on my knee. Too familiar. Too insistent. Real money down here. Cartel connections. Legit fronts. We could run it clean. Family empire. I jerked away. Rosary beads clicking like gunfire. Family? You sold out family for a quick buck. Mom's cancer bills? Funneled into your app. I paid those with my tips while you partied. He deflated. Mask slipping to something raw. Grief? Cancer took her.
Zoe.
Not me. I was building something to save us all. Lies. But laced with truth. The files showed he'd skimmed her chemo fund for a prototype server. Desperation or depravity. And the trafficking. It was leverage. Keep the coyotes quiet while I cashed out. No one got hurt bad. Maria's face flashed hollow eyes. Trembling hands. Bullshit, I spat. Women. Kids, product. You decided that. Decision. His controversial pivot. Blame the system. Not the snake. Borders a war zone. I was middleman. Not monster. You gonna play God now? We talked, or sparred, for hours. Rum flowing loose. Stars pricking the velvet sky. He spun yarns of our childhood, stealing fireworks from the Jewel-Osco. Hiding under the bleachers at Lane Tech Games. Mom's meatloaf that tasted like home. Cracks in the armor, tears when he mentioned Dad's abandonment. How he'd vowed to be the provider. But woven in, justifications for every sin. The scam? Economic justice for the overlooked. The frame? Tough love to toughen you. The loot? Survival. I probed. The drive's secrets my scalpel. Why me?
Ethan?
Why bury me under your mess? He stared at the water. A manatee surfacing like a ghost. Because you're unbreakable. I needed a scapegoat who wouldn't crack. And deep down, I knew you'd win.
Win.
The word hung, controversial as a loaded gun. Was this absolution or manipulation? His eyes pleaded. But his hand, slipping toward my clutch, betrayed the grift. I bolted at midnight, Glock cold against my thigh, driving north with the windows fogged from unshed tears. Ethan's parting shot via text. Think it over. Blood's thicker. Back in Chicago. The heat turned personal. Ruiz's PI caught up, a goon with a buzz cut and brass knuckles, cornering me in an alley off Division Street after closing. Who sent the packet? Puta? A fist to gut. Breath whooshing out. I need his balls. Glock's barrel kissing his temple. Tell your boss. Next leaks his dick pics to the ward. He slunk off. But the message landed, ripples becoming waves. News cycles churned. Ex-con linked to trafficking bust. Redeemer or renegade? Pundits on Fox and MSNBC picked sides. My blurred photo plastered like a wanted poster. Cousin kicked me out. Scared of the stink, I holed up in the Elm Street basement. Walls echoing with ghosts. Ethan's flips accelerated. Packages arrived, cash-stuffed envelopes. Labeled for the shop. A forged deed to the house in my name. Then the gut punch, a video file on a new drive. Dropped FedEx, Me in prison yard. Bribed footage showing me trading secrets with a known coyote, staged, but damning. Accompanying note. Insurance. Play nice. I didn't. Hacked his Miami drop skills from a Udemy course. Ironic. Draining $80,000 to a GoFundMe for Maria's family, reunited stateside. Her story splashed in the Herald. Ethan's response, a call from a blocked number. Voice velvet over venom. You're making enemies.
Zoe.
Cartels asking questions.
About you.
Fear gnawed. But so did fire. The coffee shop opened Memorial Day, Zoe's Brew. A hole in the wall on Milwaukee Avenue with mismatched mugs and a chalkboard scrawl. Revenge, serve hot. Crowds came for the scandal. Stayed for the pour-overs. Revenue ticked up. But so did threats. Slashed tires. Brick through the window etched snitch. The climax brewed in July. Humidity thick as conspiracy. Ethan's big fish wasn't cartel. It was Harlan's senior, Dad. The Reno ghost. Files revealed the scam's seed money, Dad's inheritance from a casino heist gone wrong. Laundered through Apex. He'd bailed not for dreams, but debts, owing Manny's precursors a fortune in blood vig. Ethan built the app to pay it off, framing me as the buffer when Dad resurfaced demanding his cut. Dad called from a Tahoe payphone. Voice gravel from smokes and sin.
Zoe. Kiddo.
Your brother's in over his head. Meet me, neutral ground. Chicago O'Hare. International Terminal. Bring the drive. Trap or truce. I flew standby. Glock checked through security, disassembled. Nerves frayed. O'Hare buzzed with transients, families hugging. Suits hustling. Dad waited at Gate K. Older than memory. Paunch straining a Hawaiian shirt. Eyes bloodshot but bright. Hugged me awkward. Smelling of Old Spice and regret. Grown up fierce.
Huh?
Like your ma. We talked in a sterile lounge. Over stale Cinnabon. His tail. Bailed to protect us from his marks. Watched from afar as Ethan spiraled. Boys got my gambler's itch. The scam? My idea, quick flip to square us. Betrayal layered. Dad the architect. Ethan the executor. Me the corpse. But his flip, help me end it.
Zoe. Take down the old man, me.
Feds get the files. I sing on the network. Clean slate for you both. Controversial calculus. Sacrifice a father for fraternal freedom? I wavered. Rosary twisting. You left us. Why now? Guilt's a slow poison. Tears tracked his jowls. And love. Twisted, but real. Ethan materialized then, sliding from shadows. Grin feral. Family reunion? Touching. Gun in his waistband. Same model as mine. The terminal thinned. Cleaners mopping distant gates. Dad, here's the leak. Tipped the SEC to buy time. Dad's face crumpled. Lies.
Boy.
I'm here to fix. Ethan's shot cracked, suppressed. A cough in the din. Dad slumped. Red blooming on his shirt, no gore. Just shadow and stain. Chaos erupted. Screams.
Stampede.
I froze. Glock rising instinctive. But Ethan's eyes locked mine, pleading, triumphant. Your decision now. Sis, he murmured, backing into the throng. Hero or killer? Cops swarmed. I dropped the piece. Hands up. He shot first, I saw. Lies. But Dad's gasp corroborated. Dying words. Ethan.
The boy.
Feds hauled Ethan in Miami dawn raid. Tip from my burner. Chords precise. Charges piled. Fraud. Trafficking. Patricide. But the twist? Dad's dying confession. Recorded on my phone, hidden in purse. Rolling silent. Zoe's innocent. It was us, me, and the boy. Polarizing pinnacle. Trial of the century. Harlan's versus America. Prosecutors spun me as co-conspirator. Defense painted vigilante saint. Pundits fractured. Feminists cheering sister strikes back. Conservatives decrying lawless liberal revenge. I testified. Voice steady. He emptied my house. My life. I just brought a home. Jury deadlocked twice. Mistrial. Ethan walked on technicals, evidence chain compromised by my hacks. Dad's death ruled self-defense. His gun planted.
Me?
Civil suits drained the shop. But donors flooded. Zoe's brew trending. Merchandise hawking, forks of justice tease. Autumn stripped Chicago bare. Leaves crunching underfoot like brittle bones as I rebuilt. Zoe's brew clawed back from the brink, expanded menu with conch fritters nodding to the keys. A corner mural of a phoenix rising from circuit boards. Patrons whispered when I poured, "That's her. The one who took down the family empire." Some bought extra scones in solidarity. Others crossed the street, eyes narrow with judgment. Controversy clung like humidity, the air thick with unspoken verdicts. Was I avenger or arsonist? The media feast didn't care. Clicks trumped clarity. Ethan vanished post-mistrial, a specter in witness protection whispers. Feds cut a deal, his testimony against the cartel bigs for immunity on the lesser counts. Trafficking kingpins toppled in a cascade, indictments from Brownsville to Buffalo. Safe houses raided. Maria's face on CNN as the survivor who started it all. She visited once. Shy in a bear's hoodie. Hugging me fierce.
Gracias,
Homana. For seeing me. Her words salve. But sleep? Still fractured. Dreams of Dad's slump replaying in sepia. The buried secret surfaced in November. A manila envelope slid under the shop door at dawn. Postmark Reno. Inside, Dad's will. Notarized pre-shooting. Leaving his estate, a storage locker in Sparks, to my daughter Zoe. The only Harlan with spine. Key taped inside. I drove west on I-80. The Great Plains unspooling monotonous. Radio static hissing ghosts. Sparks was a gambler's purgatory, casinos blinking neon promises. Motels with vacancy signs flickering like lies. The locker yielded dust and despair. Poker chips etched with losses. Photo albums yellowed us kids. Pre-bail. Grinning toothless. And a ledger, Dad's. Predating Apex. Debts tallied in red ink, $400,000 to Manny's sire. Accrued from a rigged blackjack scam gone south. Notes and margins. Protect the boy. Frame the girl if needed. My stomach nodded. I'd borne the mistake. Not just Ethan's, but Dad's original sin. He'd primed the pump. Ethan pulled the lever. I ate the fallout. Worse, a cassette tape. Labeled confession for Zoe. Dad's voice crackled through a borrowed Walkman in a Denny's booth. Hash browns congealing untouched. Kiddo, if you're hearing this, I failed twice. Left you for the wolves, then fed you to 'em. The money was dirty from jump, laundered through your ma's charity bake sales. Ethan knew, built the app to wash it clean. Framed you cause. Hell, you were the strong one. Thought it'd break him to see you caged. My bad. My bad. Echoes. Tears scalded. But clarity cut sharper. The betrayal wasn't singular. It was generational. A Harlan curse of cunning and cowardice. Dad flipped faces too. Deadbeat to dreamer. Villain to victim. His fix at O'Hare? Suicide by son. Clearing the board for me to inherit the mess or the mantle. Back in Chicago. Resolve hardened like lake ice. I lawyered up real money this time. A shark from the loop named Kendra. Braids fierce. Suits sharper. Sued the feds for wrongful incarceration. Citing Ethan's exculpatory evidence withheld. Discovery unearthed emails. Ethan tipping prosecutors pre-trial. Dangling my guilt for leniency. The Pauls? Ruiz countersued. Claiming defamation, his career in tatters. Wife left.
Kids in therapy.
You destroyed a good man, his brief sneered. Good man? Files showed kickbacks to cover-ups. But proof was circumstantial. Court of public opinion split. Justice for Ruiz trended alongside Zoe did right. The tension coiled tighter over Christmas. Shops strung with ironic lights, red and green for blood and money. A regular, grizzled vet named Hal nursed his drip coffee nightly, spinning yarns of regrets. Revenge is a hollow bullet.
Dull.
Hits hard. Echoes empty. Wise. But hollow itself. I nodded. Polishing the counter. Forks from Elm Street drawer now a display case gimmick. Stir your conscience. $2 tip. Ethan's next flip arrived New Year's Eve. Fireworks popping over the lake like erratic gunfire. A woman showed at the shop. Mid-30s. Sharp bob and sharper eyes. Coat reeking of Virginia Woolf cigarettes. I'm Lila. Ethan's associate. The word slithered. She slid a thumb drive across the formica. He says you're ready for the endgame. I pocketed it, locking the door early. Crowd outside whooping for the ball drop. Laptop glowed in the back room. Files unfolding. Ethan's master ledger. Post-Apex. He'd pivoted, trafficking proceeds into a legit venture. AI deepfakes for political ops. Smearing rivals with fabricated scandals. Clients? Ruiz's successor. A mayoral hopeful. Tech moguls dodging Me Too. And the hook, my face. Woven into vids as the whistleblower whore, confessing to fabricating the whole scam. Insurance 2.0, Lila purred. Sipping chamomile I'd brewed on autopilot. Ethan's generous, join the firm. Or become the star. Her flip, not minion, but mastermind. I ran the servers. Your brother's a front, charming, but sloppy. We could use a numbers girl. Controversial crossroads. Ally with the devil's apprentice. Or burn the coven. I stalled, pouring refills, probing her cracks. Divorced. Kid in boarding school. Drawn to Ethan's orbit for the thrill. Power's the real high.
Zoe.
Not this. Moral quicksand. She left at midnight. Kiss on cheek like Judas. I uploaded the drive to a dark web leak, WikiLeaks style. Redacted to shield innocence. By morning. Headline screamed, Deepfake empire exposed. Chicago Pauls in bed with Harlan ghost. Riots at City Hall. Resignations cascading. Lila vanished. Ethan surfaced in a bailout email. You bitch. Now it's war. War came swift. Shop vandalized, windows smashed. Traitor spray-painted in crimson. Cops dismissed it as fan overreach. Feds visited. Badges heavy. Cooperate. Harlan. Ethan's cartel ties run hot. Testify. Get protection. Protection. Like last time. I declined. Kendra filing injunctions left and right. The UM deepened in February. Snow blanketing the city and hush. I hired Muscle, a bouncer named Rico from the old bar days. Ex-Marine with a limp and loyalty bought in espresso shots. We fortified, cameras, panic button, a shotgun under the register. Illinois laws be damned. Nights blurred into stakeouts. Me and the Civic circling Ethan's last knowns. Burner pings triangulated via a hacker kid from UIC. Paid in pastries. Twist teased in a Gary motel. No-tell dive with vibrating walls and roach symphonies. Intel placed Ethan there, holing with the crew. I kicked the door at 3 a.m. Glock steady. Rico at my 6. Empty, bed unmade. Pizza box cold. But the note. Missed me? Sis? Check the mirror. Mirror. My reflection. But not deep fake vid cued on the TV. Me confessing to Dad's murder. Voice modulated pitch perfect. Uploaded already. Viral on X. Zoe the killer trending. Death threats flooding the shop line. Panic clawed. But cunning countered. I traced the upload IP back to Lila's loft in Wicker Park. Stormed at dawn. Rico covering the alley. She answered in silk robe. Unflinching. Bold. But you're late. Inside. Servers humming. Screens flickering faces, mine. Maria's. Ruiz's wife in fabricated tears. Her decision. Controversial queen move. Ethan's done. Burned us all, sold the AI code to feds for a walk. I'm the last thread. Join. Or join the fakes. I zip-tied her. Drive in hand. Master keys to the kingdom. Where's he? Lips curled. Flying. Private jet. Teterboro to Andorra. Tonight. Rico hot-wired her Audi. We raced O'Hare. Sirens a distant whine. Terminal chaos again, holiday stragglers. But Ethan at a private hangar. Duffel slung. Boarding a Gulfstream with a blonde, not Lila. Spotted me. Grin flashing.
Zoe.
Come to see me off. Glock barked tire. Not flesh. Jet lurched. Propeller whining protest. Feds swarmed my tip. Preemptive. Cuffs clicking on Ethan mid-ramp. You called them, he bellowed. Thrashing. After everything? Everything, I echoed. Rosary tight. You emptied the house. I refilled it with justice. But his eyes, final flip. Not rage. Relief. Good play?
Sis.
Blood's thicker. Even in chains. Lila walked too, plea for the code handover. Cartel crumbled. Deepfakes debunked by MIT nerds. Shop thrived. Media circus faded to footnote. Yet the tension lingered. Dark as Lake Michigan fog. Dad's ledger? Donated anonymously to a victim's fund. Forks? Melted down. Recast as shop sign, twisted metal. Unbreakable. Spring 2026 bloom tentative in Chicago. Cherry blossoms along the Mag Mile mocking the scars. Zoe's brew hit 6 figures. A beacon for the broken support groups in the back room. Baristas trained in trauma response. Maria co-managed now. Her laugh a bomb. Tattooing Libra on her wrist like a vow.
Me?
Therapy twice weekly. Unpacking the Harlan knot with a shrink named Dr. Ellis. Her office smelling of chamomile and candor. Revenge isn't closure. Zoe, it's a mirror.
What do you see?
Monsters. Martyrs.
Me.
Ethan's trial-dominated summer, federal courthouse downtown. A fortress of marble and malice. I testified again. Sue crisp. Voice honed. He betrayed blood for bucks. Framed me to float his fraud. Emptied our home, forks and all, to fund his flight. Exhibits, the note. Drives. Deepfakes dissected like cadavers. His defense? Family dysfunction. Your honor. Zoe's vendetta poisoned the well. Spectacles supreme. Gallery packed. Sketches in the trib capturing his grin defiant. Lila took the stand. Flipping to star witness. Ethan masterminded the AI horrors, earning her a slap on wrist. Dad's tape played. His rasp haunting. My mistakes. Hers to mend. Jury polarized. Holdouts for acquittal citing entrapment by sister. Others baying for Max. Verdict: guilty on fraud and conspiracy. Trafficking dropped for insufficient chain.
20 years.
No parole first decade. Ethan locked eyes as they let him out, mouthing proud.
Proud.
The word twisted. Controversial communion. Had I saved him from himself? Or sentenced kin to shadows? Aftermath rippled. Shop boycotted by pro-family groups. Picketers chanting lock up Zoe next. But counter-protests swelled. Celebs dropping in for selfies and lattes. Kendra won the suit. $2.3 million settlement. Expungement granted. I bought the strip mall. Turned vacant units into co-op spaces for ex-cons, barbershop, yoga studio, a talk area run by Maria's cousins. But the twist, the one that sparked endless barroom debates, hit Labor Day weekend. A letter from Ethan. Prison stationery crisp. Sis. You won. But read attached. The real scam? Ours. Attached, a birth certificate. Yellowed facsimile. Name: Zoe Harlan. Father: unknown.
Mother, not mom.
Ethan's mom, our aunt, dad's sister, had birthed me in secret. A teen pregnancy hushed. Mom adopted me, raised as blood to keep the family whole. Ethan's betrayal? Layered lie he'd known since 16. Protected the secret by framing the outsider. You weren't the patsy.
Zoe.
You were the pawn we both played. Dad's debts? To cover your medical's rare blood disorder. Hushed up. The scam built your safety net. Safety net. The floor dropped. All those years, Ethan's overprotectiveness. Mom's fierce hugs. Dad's distant gaze, veiled in variant DNA. I'd borne the crime not a sister, but stranger. Or was I? Blood quantum be damned, love's the real ledger. Controversy crested, forums exploded. Zoe's revenge, heroic hoax or incestuous illusion? Pundits picked bones. Was Ethan's frame mercy? Shielding me from Harlan taint? My unraveling? Justice or jealousy? No one right. All wrong, family a scam we all ran. I confronted the mirror in Elm Street's hall. Red dress draped nearby like a relic. Burned it all that night, certificate, notes, drives in the backyard fire pit. Sparks rising like freed souls. Forks spared. Reset on the mantle, symbols now of forged bonds. Not fractured.
Ending?
No tidy bow. Ethan writes monthly, cryptic.
Contrite.
Build better.
Zoe.
For us. I visit quarterly. Plexiglass between. Trading stories of mundane miracles, shop expansions. Maria's citizenship. A nephew on the way, hers. Not mine, biology irrelevant.
Dr.
Ellis calls it ambiguous redemption. I call it survival. The house stands full, furniture reclaimed, walls hung with Maria's art, laughter echoing where silence once reigned. But the note's ash lingers in soil, fertilizing doubt, Did I unravel him? Or us? Revenge's rhythm. American as apple pie a la mode sweet. Messy. Eternally debated.
I pour another round.
Steam curling like secrets. And wonder if he emptied the house. Who refilled my heart. The bell jingles, new face. Old hunger in the eyes. Heard your story, he says. Sliding onto a stool. Inspiring. I smile. Fork sharp. Stick around. It's just getting good.